Buonasera, ladies and gentlemen, and racing fans from all corners of the globe, and welcome to Track Stars Racing Series. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us here as we kick off the latest installment of TS2 Touring Car Racing in 2024, where this year we celebrate 10 years of Track Stars Racing Series of dedication and hard work and commitment to those that led the way to what has become a staple online sim racing series on Sunday evenings in Australia. We'd love to give our gratitude to those that have made this series what it is today as we look to ride this momentum for the next decade of online sim racing. We're live from the breathtaking islands of Sardinia for the second round of the TS2 touring cars here at Track Stars. The drivers are raring to go as they face this stunning yet challenging circuit. Expect a spectacular showcase of speed, skill, and racecraft as they navigate the twists and turns of this picturesque track. It's going to be a race filled with drama and excitement, so stay tuned as we bring you all the action from this incredible venue. Welcome to the starting Sardegna Road Track Layout A, a jewel in the Gran Turismo 7 lineup. This fictional circuit is set on the beautiful island of Sardinia, capturing the essence of the Mediterranean charm, weaving into a challenging racing experience. The layout of Sardegna Road Track A is a 15-turn anti-clockwise circuit with a lap covering 5.1 kilometers of the fictional GT circuit that made its debut on GT Sport well back in 2019. Man, that was definitely a long time ago, and it is now officially making its long-awaited debut in Trackstars racing calendar in 2024 to mark the decade of touring car racing. It contains a variety here. It contains a mix of fast straights and technical corners, all surrounded by the picturesque landscape that we see in the background tonight. See those windmills there? There's a bit of high speed and a lot of winds around this track here. So we're going to be having those drivers keep an eye on that wind gauge because it can flip reverse on the drivers here tonight. But the track winds through its rolling hills with sections that demands precision and skill from the drivers. The long straight offer opportunities for overtaking, while the sharp corners and elevation changes test the drivers' handling and strategy. As we said here, the longest part of the straight is 1,700 meters, which is the main straight from the last corner of turn 15 to the downhill braking into turn 1. We have two races on here tonight consisting of 12 lap races, and the distance for each race is 61.356 kilometers of here at this beautiful Sardegna track. One of the highlights of Sardegna Road Track A is this varied terrain. The track's elevation changes not only adding to the visual appeal, but also influence car handling and bravery, especially through the fast kink at turn 13. So watch for drivers to be going pretty much near to flat out, a little lift off the car, maybe on the opening few laps, taking it easy. But as soon as those racing soft tires heat up, expect drivers to be going flat through there and taking that corner as aggressive as they can be as they control the tight turns and the sweeping curbs effectively. The natural beauty of this track is a complement to the layout, to the challenging layout, to making it a favourite amongst racing enthusiasts. Sardegna Road Track Layout A offers a thrilling and immersive racing experience that showcases the best of Gran Turismo's track design, and our drivers are ready to go to take on this challenge here of this beautiful circuit. My name is Nicholas Paltasso, and as always, you have joined this coverage being broadcasted for free on the World Wide Web of the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel. So to make sure you are up to date with all things touring car racing in 2024, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, click that bell icon, and get notified when the premiere stream of the delayed broadcast goes live. Interact with the chat and give a like and a thumbs up and share around with your family and friends. It really helps us, and your support means a lot to us here at Trackstars. As we get ourselves ready for some thrilling racing here tonight, the cars have finally wrapped up their 10-minute qualifying session in the background here at Sardegna. As we go to the qualifying results that have been made official by the race directors, and it is Kok Hong Lam for the privateer in LCR has taken out pole position by a tenth over his rival in Halton. So the Lexus takes the honours of getting a pole position for the first time in 2024, with Halton last victor at the Nürburgring last round. The victor of the Nürburgring is starting in P2. Then we have Bailey Kennedy in car number 14, Chris Lashbrook, joining him on the second row of the grid. So the two teammates going to be working very hard to get those two It's Our Far cars up towards the front. But look out for the third row, the full of Mash Spuds Racing. Adam Joy and Isaac Fogarty rounding up in 5th and 6th place. Sam Taylor and Tristan Mason rounding up the top 8 and finishing off the 4th row of the grid. So WTC versus KPL, both Lexus as well, occupying that 4th row. And down to the 5th row, we have Craig Harcourt and Brad James making his debut in the TS2 Touring Cars Championship after graduating from TS3 Touring Cars last year and rounding himself and WTC Racing inside the top 10. So 2 WTC in the top 10. Watch out for those drivers to come through. Just outside is Ben Purton, David Scott, Lumen Van Vuren, Gordon Scott, Liam Hedges and Brendan Scott rounding up our 16-man field. So we have a full lobby here tonight at Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars as we are waiting to get ourselves ready for the 5 red lights. As we always say with myself and Ryan Palmer, we always want to throw our Monopoly money, and it's time to predict who I think is going to be the victor here tonight. So let me know in the chat down below who you think is going to take out race 1 here at the debuting Sardegna Road Track A. But I'm going to have to stick to my guns here. I'm going to be biased for the Lexus brand, and I feel like it's time. It's time to see a HPR victory here at Sardinia in the Sardinian Sardinian island, next washing alongside the Mediterranean coastline. So I feel like we are sniffing a Lexus victory here. So if he can do it, he can be the first man that gets Lexus on the board in TS2 in 2024. But the cars are lining up on the grid, and the flag marshal has given us the all clear as we get ready for racing here for race 1 of round 2 of the TS2 Touring Cars Championship here at Sardinia. So as the lights come on, we have 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5 lights as the revs rise for the Super GT, GT500s, and it's lights out. Green flag racing, 16 drivers, all plummeting down into turn 1 for the first time in the debuting of Sardegna Road Track A. Here we go. The Lexus driver of Cochon Lamb leads the way ahead of Aidan Halton as he goes to the inside line, holds the inside line, takes P1 away from Aidan, and then we have Adam Joy making up a miraculous 2 positions. So he got himself ahead of the It's FR drivers, and we have Chris Lashbrook right behind him, 4 players. Bailey Kennedy inside the top 5. So the 2 It's FR boys, not the start they wanted, letting that Lexus driver come through as we see the cars firing down at turn 5. Looks very nicely cleaned there for the first time as they exit turn 5s, and passing the cathedral up towards the windmill section of this back straight here, Sardegna A, all the way up coming through turn 7. They're now into the turn 8 to another heavy braking zone into turn 9. So make your moves here nice and early, and that's what Chris Lashbrook is doing on Adam Joyce. He goes side by side with the MSR driver, formerly running in the MSR camp as well. Chris Lashbrook has now joined It's FR and now piloting the Nissan GTR. As we look down towards the back, we have Sam Taylor losing a position to Tristan Mason all the way up to the fast kink at turn 13. And we have a mistake already. That's Isaac Fogarty for MSR. That's been the first victim of turn 13 in Sector 2. Very unlucky for him to cop that as he goes through Sector 3 rather. And we have Gordon Scott for WRT. So 2 drivers have been claimed victim of turn 13, kind of like the death chicane at Dragon Trail Seaside. HBR's got himself a half-second penalty. They're very rare to find a half-second penalty around this track, but Aidan Halton holds the inside line, takes the inside line, and that is Nissan in the lead with CP Motorsports. Aidan Halton, the victor of the Nürburgring 125, is now leading the race on lap 2 of 12. A short lap around here, setting you about a 1 minute 30, but Lamb sends it down the inside. What a beautiful move there by the Lexus driver, but he's got some competition behind. He's got Chris Lashbrook and he's got Adam Joy right behind to occupy the top 4. Now Aidan Halton wants to take a sniff back at Lamb, tries to throw the car on the inside, trying to spook the LRC driver. Unfortunately, he's not taking any grudges whatsoever, which compromised his entry at turn 6, as that's given an opportunity for Chris Lashbrook, Smash and Apex, to come through side by side. But Aidan Halton's got a good run. He's holding onto the slipstream of the LRC driver. Lashbrook throws it down the inside, nearly makes contact with Lamb as they exit turn 9, and this is some brilliant racing here. The top 5, you can just see within a picture frame, all separated by nothing. About 1.2 separates first to 5th, as we have Lamb going wide again at turn 13. This is going to open up an opportunity for Chris Lashbrook to get the move done on Lamb as the penalty burn zone is coming up towards the end of turn 14. There's the burn zone right there. Lamb's going to lose 2nd place. He could potentially lose 3rd, but with how close the pack is, he might be able to lose. He might lose a little bit more. No, looks like at the moment it's just 3rd place. We have Adam Joy coming under pressure from Bailey Kennedy right behind in 5th place. But as we get onto the 3rd lap, this is the 3rd leader and the 3rd lap, ladies and gentlemen. So we had Lamb leading lap 1, we had Aidan Halton leading lap 2, and now we have Chris Lashbrook for It's FR leading lap 3 of this race. And Bailey Kennedy has made the move, a nice swift move down the inside of turn 1 on Lamb. So that's 1st to 4th in the span of a couple of corners for Lamb, for the LRC driver. Very unlucky there after starting a very strong pole position for the Malaysian drivers. So he's still holding on to P4 at the moment, and we have Alan Joy rounding up the top 5, and Aussie Taylor, Sam Taylor, not too far behind as well in P6. So watch out for the WRC driver. He's lurking in the background. There he is. He did get past Tristan Mason a couple of laps ago, last lap, but now he's right in the clutches of the top 5, at the fringes of the top 5. So watch out for him to start making some moves there. A little bit of neck code on Bailey Kennedy's side there, but if he's going to get it done around the outside, he does. A little bit of contact there. Squeezes Lamb into the wall there. Lamb has to back out of it, and he's back up into P3. This is some brilliant racing amongst the top, the battle for P3. But Kennedy runs wide, so does Lamb. So it's all about this braking performance. As they get to turn 14, they're both going to be grip limited. Lamb just holds on to P3. Kennedy has to drop down to P4, but that brings Joy, and it also brings Aussie Taylor back into the mix here. He's right up there. He's sniffing that podium positions alongside Joy and Kennedy. But as they come up towards lap 4, some action-packed racing here, ladies and gentlemen. It's unbelievable how close this pack is. Bailey Kennedy is going to get the move done around the outside. We have Lamb that's hold the inside line. Bit of contact made between the Lexus in Adam Joy and Kennedy as they execute turn 1. Aussie Taylor trying to take full advantage of that, try and get 2 for 1. Still holds on to P6. So this is some great, fantastic racing. As we look down the order as well, we see Ben Purton starting outside the top 10, is now moved up into P7. So the biggest mover from this race so far, Ben Purton for PH Esports, up into P7, ahead of his good mate and his companion, Kiwi companion in Tristan Mason, right behind, fending off from Brad James from WTC Racing, making his debut in TS2 touring cars in 2024 after graduating from Formula 3 and the TS3 Touring Cars Championship last year. Is now taking the big step up into the Division 2 and try to get his name into the series and make him sure, and hopefully he's going to get his name up towards the top 5, especially if he can hold on to the top 8 as well. And joining him as well is his teammate as well, is I believe it's David Scott in Oz Solreeve. He's joining him inside the top 10. But back up towards the front, it is still Chris Lashbrook ahead of Captain Muffin. We've got to remind our viewers, back at the Nürburgring 125, we had these two drivers, both Chris and Aidan, battling tooth and nail throughout the whole first lap of the Nordschleife, as Chris Lashbrook has set a 1 minute 33.9 as the fastest lap so far, pulling out a bit of a gap, a few car lengths on his rival, his Nissan rival in Aidan Halton. So some great racing. We saw these drivers last time out at the Nürburgring 125, and these two were having a really mighty battle on the first opening couple of laps before Aidan Halton really managed to stretch his legs a little bit and use that expertise, knowledge that he has around the Nordschleife and take full advantage by taking the victory with only making a pit stop for fuel and no tyres, which turned out to be the brain smart strategy around the Nürburgring, while Chris Lashbrook went in for tyres and a splash of fuel as well, which cost him potentially a victory for the first round. But they are 1 and 2 in the championship, with Aidan Halton just leading the way ahead of Chris Lashbrook in P2. HBR not too far behind in the championship as well. And Aussie Taylor's now moved himself up into the top 5. We're on lap 5 of 12, so he's got the move done on Furby in Adam Joy right behind, but he's starting to lose a little bit of momentum to Bailey Kennedy. So both these guys have managed to hold each other up, and they've lost ground to P4. So a couple of laps ago, we saw these drives battling. And as I say that, Kennedy has gone flying into turn 3. Whoa, thankfully, thank goodness for the ghosting system here on Gran Turismo. So otherwise, it's been a mighty accident at turn 13. But that is another victim of the turn 13 fast kink here at Sardegna A. It's one of the highlights around this track. Even though it's a very fast track around here, the highlight is especially the turn 13 kick. As we cut back towards the front, there's so much action going, ladies and gentlemen. It is Captain Muffin, and Aidan Halton has now taken the lead away from Chris Lashbrook, setting the fastest lap with a 1 minute 33.852, and has taken back the lead on turn 1 on lap 6 of 12. So 7 laps to go until the end of this race. Captain Muffin, everyone's favourite choc chip muffin, is now leading the race, setting the purple first sector by only 0.002. Let's see if we can go on board with the man in car 98, the last victor of the TS2 touring cars at the Nürburgring 125. Looking back into the rear view mirrors, right there is the It's FR driver in Chris Lashbrook. See if he starts putting any pressure on the CP driver as we navigate towards the exit of turn 9, and then through all this fast section here. Not really corners here, you're pretty much pointing the car straight throughout this whole section until you get to turns 12, and then the fast kink at turn 13. Just try and squeeze the left-hand side of the car on the guardrail, kiss the guardrail on the left-hand side, pinch it in to turn 14, and then you get yourself a nice, strong exit out of turns 14 down to 15. A fast kink, which you're pretty much flat to the floor, and there's the start-finish line. He's actually put a massive gap over Chris Lashbrook, so he's not even actually on the rear view mirrors at all for Lashbrook. And as he said, another fastest lap there, 1 minute 33.5. So really, pretty much roughly getting themselves main series lap time as well in the Touring Cars Championship, the TSTC Touring Cars Championship. They're pretty much matching the lap times that they will be setting later on when we have the delayed broadcast for the main series championship. But 1 minute 33.5 is a very strong lap there by Aidan Halton. Through to the exit of turn 5, you see the cathedral straight ahead. Say your prayers, because you've got 6 more laps to go, and hopefully you can hold on to P1 at the end of this 12-lap race and continue his streak to 2 wins in a row. Could he go for the hat trick at the end of the night? We'll find out in due course. But it's the 2 Nissans with Aidan Halton, Chris Lashbrook, and Kok Hon Lam, the Malaysian driver, the flying Malaysian, in P3. Aussie Taylor's up into P4 after what we saw was that massive accident with Bailey Kennedy only just a lap ago. He's dropped down to P9, unfortunately. So with that mistake there, I thought it would have cost him a little bit more damage and dropped him a little bit further back. But the field towards the second half of the field is pretty well spread out. So luckily fortunate for Bailey, he didn't actually drop too many positions there. So fortunate for him to keep the It's FR car inside the top 10. As we have yellow flags up ahead. Looks like one of the drivers has gone through the fast kink. No, it doesn't look like anything's happened yet. So it must be a bit of a false yellow flag there. As Kennedy throws the car on the inside of the KPL driver, the KPL owner of the Lexus RCF GT500 in Tristan Mason, gets back inside the top 8 and ahead of the Kiwi driver. So as we saw there as well, Isaac Fogarty, who had that mistake on lap 1, is now just running inside the top 10. Craig Harcourt as well, just outside the top 10. So Craig Harcourt, who raced in the main series last year in 2023, has taken a back step and has taken a little bit of a break from sim racing. Is just here for the fun, is just here for the enjoyment, just to find some enjoyment that he wants to have on his downtime in Trackstars Racing Series. Has demoted himself to Division 2 and is wanting to try and get himself back up towards the front there. As we saw both Brendan Scott and Liam Hedges both going wide at turn 4, and unfortunately for Liam Hedges, that's ruined his race. He actually got the worst of it, unfortunately. So well down. So a horrible mistake there by the PH Esports driver to lose a lot of position there, a lot of time there, and drop outside the top 10. So outside the top 14 as well. So he's dropped down to P14, unluckily for Hedges for PH Esports, while he's teammate in Ben Purton is up into P7, trying to fend off Bailey Kennedy right behind there. But Kennedy's got some strong pace in this, and GTR throws it down the inside as he goes side by side with PH Driver. They're still going to go side by side on the exit, and Kennedy has got the move done on Purton. Nice move there. So it's a nice little recovery drive for Kennedy for its FR Racing, as high up as P4, dropped down to P9 a couple of laps ago. Is now making the move towards the front to try and get back inside the top 5, but there's a nice healthy gap between himself and Brad James from WTC Racing. So this will also be a very good result if we can also have Brad James making his debut in TS2 touring cars, going up from TS3 last year. He can get himself inside the top 8, especially holding his position in P6. Isaac Fogarty trying to stay nice and close to Tristan Mason. He's just throwing the Lexus everywhere, trying to get the best run possible. He's got a good run out of turn 5. Will he throw the nose down to turn 6, down to the Cathedral section, as we look towards the MSR driver trying to go side by side with the KPL. Oh, squeezing there was Tristan Mason, but some good clean driving between the two Lexus drivers. Car 195 versus car 95, with the 91 in Ben Purton ahead, leading the Lexus charge at the back end of the top 10. The gaps are pretty well spread out between the first place and 16th at the moment. We're looking at roughly about 28 to 30 seconds between first and 16th place, which is occupied, unfortunately, by Gordon Scott for WRT Motorsport. So not the best race for the WRT there. We saw both Brendan Scott and Gordon having a bit of a topsy-turvy couple of laps in the previous lap. So it just started to settle in for WRT. And it's all about them just trying to make their moves in race 2. But as we go on board with the hood view of the MSR driver, Kenny is going to throw the nose down. There is a very strong tailwind going to turn 1, and that's what I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen, at the start of the race there, as Mason has gone around into the gravel trap there, whether he was escorted wide or he just made the mistake on his own, as we have Brendan Scott trying to avoid Tristan Mason's stranded Lexus RCF. He's got his teammate Illumin Van Buren behind, so he's going to promote himself up into P12. So Luminous and Van Buren is up to P12. His teammate, his team boss, down in 13th place. So definitely not what Mason wanted, being inside the top 10, very comfortable inside the top 10. Unfortunately, just drops down the order and concedes those positions and just makes a bad meal out of it. And it's not how he wants to end this first race, this 12-lap race, with being led by Aidan Halton, Chris Lashbrook, and Kokot Lam, the Malaysian, in 3rd place. But this is a nice, juicy battle for P4 in this race here. Adam Joy, apologies, his teammate Isaac Fogarty is making his way through on the back end of the top 10, while the pointy end of the top 10 is Sam Taylor and, as well, Adam Joy tuck underneath the slipstream of the WTC Racing Lexus. What does Aussie Taylor do? Does he keep it on the inside? Joy's going to hold it around the outside. No room there. Kisses the gravel trap. Bit of contact made between the two drivers. A little bit of push, a little bit of dirt on the 77 as he tried to make a move around the outside. Got caught on the gravel trap, which unfortunately hit the rear end of Aussie Taylor. Thankfully, no damage to the 420 ahead in the for WTC Racing, but still keeping their positions. Nicely done there. Sam Taylor still holds on to P4, and we have as well Adam Joy holding on to P5. So the top 5 looks more or less sealed, but outside the top 5, there's a lot of battling going on here. Brad James, car 38 for WTC Racing, is trying to defend his well-earned P6 and try to keep it ahead of Bailey Kennedy, but it looks like Bailey got a great exit out of turn 6 as he holds it around the outside. They're going to go side by side as they get up to turn 9 here, down the heavy braking zone. A nice headwind, so you can brake later with these cars. He holds it around the outside, a lot of exit room given by both drivers, and that's Kennedy back up into P6. So very nice recovery drive here for Bailey Kennedy in the It's FR car 14, apologies there, just trying to remember the number. Car 14 for Bailey Kennedy up into P6 after a mistake a few laps ago, is now recovering back up into P6, but this is the last lap, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached 12 laps of this 5.1 kilometer circuit. Last lap for these drivers, and it's the last lap for Joy to try and get himself into P4 at the end of this race and cement his place up towards the pointy end of this championship here at Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars. Ozzy Taylor and Adam Joy battling for P4, while we can see the battle pack for P1 on the mini-map between Aidan Halton and Chris Lashbrook is closing just that ever so slightly between the two drivers, but I think Aidan Halton is going to have just enough to fend off from Chris Lashbrook. He's got about 1.5 seconds over Chris Lashbrook as they come down towards the last sector of the track. Chris Lashbrook really sent the car on down at turn 9, so very strong braking performance in the ITS car 11, but it's not enough to capitalize on the 98, taking the fast kink at turn 13 for the last time. A strong braking zone into turn 14, and it's just plucking through the gears for the last time here at race 1. What a race it has been between these two. These two showing some class and showing some great racing amongst each other. It's a Nissan 1-2, but yet again, it's going to go to the 98 in Aidan Halton. CP Motorsports taking the checkered flag and the victory for race 1 here at round 2 for the Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars Championship in 2024, where we are celebrating 10 years of touring car racing. Cock Lamb in 3rd place, occupying, getting the Lexus, the first of the Lexus onto the podium. Ozzy Taylor in 4th place. Sam Taylor in P4. Adam Joy rounds up in P5. And a nice recovery drive there as well by Kennedy as well. And a very solid performance there by James to round up in P7. Ben Person just holds on to P8 rather, whilst we had Isaac Fogarty rounding up in 9th place as well. So what a race that was, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of action packed there. Our cameraman has gone absolutely crazy. He's been getting all the information left, right, front and center about about all the action that he's trying to get from the touring cars in the TS2 Touring Cars race here at Sardegna, making its debut on the series calendar in 2024. But as we wait for those official results to come upon, we do know who won the race, and it is Aidan Halton for CP Motorsports. 1.2 seconds was the gap in the end between Aidan Halton and Chris Lashbrook there. So we saw some great racing amongst the two. So Chris managed to close a little bit towards the end there, but not enough. The two outclassing the rest of the field, full of Lexus drivers. So we have ourselves 3 Nissans and 5 Lexus inside the top 8. So that's very, very strong performances by the Lexus. But the main thing is they're yet to win a race here in 2024. It's both races going to Aidan Halton at Nürburgring 125, and the first race here. We have one more race to go. The first 2-race championship here at Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars. We'll find out in due course. What you see now on your screens is the order for race 2. No reverse grid, no changes inside the top 8. It is the top 16 as they stand from race 1 is our grid for race 2. As we go to the second page, Isaac Fogarty, Craig Harcourt rounds up the top 10. Van Vuren, Brandon Scott, Tristan Mason, who was running very nicely inside the top 8. Unfortunately, a lot of mistakes in the second half of the race, dropping him down to P13. Liam Hedges, David Scott, and Gordon Scott rounds up the rear of the field for WTC Racing and WRT Motorsports. So 54.2 separating the top 16. So it was actually a much bigger gap than I anticipated. So some very classy driving there by Aidan Halton. Just shows the pace that he's got in the car, with fastest lap going to Chris Lashbrook, a 1:33.322. So as we go to our driver of the day here, and between the drivers here, it's going to be a bit of a, you let me know in the chat below who you think is going to be the driver, who your driver of the day vote goes towards here at the end of race 1. But for me, I think that race, and I think for someone that kept it simple and kept it on track, I'm going to have to go give it to Brad James for WTC Racing, making his debut in the TS2 Touring Cars Championship, and to get his car into the top 8 and finish 7th place, whilst trying to defend from Bailey Kennedy, who was making his charge up towards the field there. I definitely feel that Brad James, car 38 for WTC Racing, is going to get my vote of the day. driver of the day for race 1, but also honourable mentions to his teammate in Sam Taylor, defending his position in P4, defending from Adam Joy in P4, for P4 rather, and also in Chris Lashbrook and Aidan Halton for getting the victory as well. So let me know in the chat below who you guys think is your driver of the day for race 1 as we take ourselves a short break here, ladies and gentlemen. So stick around, grab some food, grab a drink. Make sure you like and subscribe here at Track Stars Racing Series as we're going to bring you all the race 2 coverage very shortly here on the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple of minutes and we'll get ourselves ready for the race 2 action here at Sardegna. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your patience here as we are getting ourselves ready for race 2 here in 2024 of Track Stars TS2 Touring Car Racing, making its debut here at Sardegna Road Track 8. It was an update in patch 1.40 in 2019 of Gran Turismo Sport. We saw the Sardegna dirt track, the windmill section of dirt racing, where we saw Group B cars and road cars in general. You can throw them around, thrash them around the dirt circuit before they ventured off into tarmac racing, and it made its debut in 2019, but it never made its debut here at Track Stars Touring Cars. We saw it previously in the unofficial and not broadcasted Porsche Cup Championship in 2022. We did bring out the layout A and B and C layouts, as well as the reverse layout of the track as well. So it did make its debut in Track Stars, but it never got to the debut in the Touring Cars Championship. And as I've said, and it is a great momentous occasion here to celebrate and bringing in some new exciting tracks in 2024 for its 10-year anniversary. And it's great to see some new tracks. Also, we're going to have some returning tracks as well in the TS2 Touring Cars Championship. Some fan favorites, some new tracks, some challenging tracks, as well as the tracks when we go endurance racing at the Spa 500, the Bathurst 1000, and the St. Croix 1000 as well. So the drivers at TS2 will be competing on the Saturday night. It'll also be a delayed broadcast. So if you want to keep your eyes on some TS2 racing, subscribe to the channel and give us a like and share it around with your family. But as we are getting ourselves ready for race 2, we're going to get ourselves onto the grid as the drivers are lining up for the last time here at Sardegna Road Track A. For the last time, it is Aidan Halton, Chris Lashbrook occupying the front row, with Nissan Affair up the front with the Lexus gang right behind in Aussie Taylor, in Lamb, and Sam Taylor down in 3rd and 4th place. Adam Joy, Bailey Kennedy, Brad James and Purton rounding up the top 8 as we wait for those lights to go green between the drivers here. It's all about the drivers getting that start and getting that initial launch as they lead the cars off the grid. 5 red lights as the refs rise here in the Sardine Hills. It is lights out, green flag racing. A solid, strong start there by Aidan Holt. It's got car lanes over Chris Lashbrook. Lashbrook with a horrible start there in the Nissan GTR. And Aidan Holton has got himself a brilliant launch there, with Lamb throwing the nose down the inside, just like he did in race 1. Throws the car on the inside line and takes the lead from P3 to P1. The flying Malaysian, absolutely incredible, an absolute menace here in TS2 touring cars here at Sardegna. And on the first lap, he's done it again. He's got that Lexus up towards the front there, giving Aiden Halton some head scratches, thinking, what is going on here? Why do I have to do all the hard work? Why can't it be easy work? Chris Lashbrook is throwing the nose down the inside. Bit of contact made in the background between Kennedy and Joy right at the back there, but Chris Lashbrook has got himself up into P2. So what was a fantastic launch by Aiden Halton has now been shafted down to P3 and is coming under pressure from Sam Taylor from WTC Racing. A lot of work to do behind him to try and keep Bailey Kennedy behind. Ben Purton right behind 7th place. Brad James losing a position to Purton in that opening lap there, swapping position 7th and 8th place. But the surprise package so far, HBR in Lamb is now occupying 1st place. And we see the Nissans run very wide at the exit of the fast kink at turn 13. As we see Kennedy throwing the nose in, Furby gone too deep on the brakes there. That's pushed Aussie Taylor, a little bit aggressive there by the MSR driver. Couldn't get the car pulled up in time as he ran wide at the fast kink. Aussie Taylor loses P4. That's sacrificed his position, his track position, to Bailey Kennedy, who's promoted himself up into P4. But now watch Ben Purton for PH Esports to get the car, to throw the car down the inside of the WTC Racing drivers. They brake heavy. Now this time the wind direction has changed for the drivers. There's a bit of a crosswind into turn 1 and a tailwind at the fast kink. So maybe that's what's caught out the drivers on this opening lap, ladies and gentlemen, that crosswind and the tailwind that goes into turn 13. Keep an eye on that. If that changes around in the next 12 laps or the next 11 laps, that could go a different direction as well, because a tailwind going into that corner is scary. If you thought the speeds were scary here at Trackstars TS2 going through there, as we see contact between Fogarty and James, so the WTC boys and the MSR boys battling it out, whether it's Joy on Aussie Taylor or Fogarty on James, the two teams duking it out in race 2 here tonight at this racetrack at Sardegna Road Track A. As Fogarty shows a nose there, throws the car down the inside, limited contact made, but still given racing room there between James and Fogarty as they go up towards the hill there, turns 12 until they get into the fast kink. So all single file here. That's impossible to go side by side without getting someone onto the grass. Brad James leads the MSR duo of Isaac Fogarty and Adam Joy as they get down towards the back of the field there. We can see Tristan Mason has brought himself back into the top 10 as well. So a nice strong start there by Tristan in the KPL pit lane entry, sim racing entry. Behind in the 195 as Fogarty's tucked underneath the rear wing of Brad James as they go towards turn 1 for the 3rd time. It is still being led by Lamb and Lashbrook. Captain Muffin and Aiden Halton has gone from pole position to P3. He hasn't been able to work his magic just yet. As we can see here, the two teams of WTC and MSR really duking it out here. Absolutely incredible racing here between the two staple Lexus teams in WTC and MSR, with Fogarty now getting the upper hand on the WTC boys. Is trying to see if he can get his teammate in Adam Joy to move up towards the front of the field as they work their way up towards the field on the end at the start of the 4th lap, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, 3rd lap, apologies there, as James Demotes is dropped down to P9 under pressure from Tristan, the team boss of Kiwi Pit Lane. Can't get the move done yet. He's got his teammate right behind there. So this is an all-out Alexis affair, and this is the battle for P6 as well. This is incredible racing. So the 3 Nissans behind the Lexus driver in HBR, Lashbrook, Aiden Halton, and Bailey Kennedy rounds up the top 4, with the Lexus in HBR leading the race as they finish the 3rd lap and start the 4th lap. Can he hold on to this? This is the key part of the championship for Lamb to keep P1, but it's a long way to go here. 1 minute 34.1 is the fastest lap set by Bailey Kennedy, car 14. And the lap times are going to start to go down as the track is starting to get a bit of shade cover, a bit of cloud cover, so that's going to cool the track down a little bit. Grip's going to come up massively and it's going to help these drivers get their tyre temperatures up to temp and get the maximum grip that they can. 2 times tyre wear for the drivers and 2 times fuel burn. No to worry about fuel, and tyre wear pretty much around here is not existent as well. So these drivers for 12 laps can go full send, very hard on the brakes there, as Fogarty is trying to get his way up towards inside the top 5 as he makes a move on Ben Purton as he comes towards the Cathedral. Turns 6. He's made the move done well before. Very nicely done there by Isaac Fogarty. That's promoted himself inside the top 5 after starting in 9th place up to P5. So a solid start by the MSR driver. He's got Purton right behind there. Can he make a challenge down into turn 9, around the outside, momentarily holds on to P5. Can he hold it? They still hold on. They're still going side by side and retakes P5. Wow, some great racing here from the Lexus duo, trio, quadruple. The amount of Lexuses around for the battle for P5 is incredible. All led by Ben Purton. And then we have Sam Taylor and Adam Joy, who's gone down the inside. Not quite just yet. But the top 5, not even from 5th place down to the Kiwi Pit Lane boys. You have to remember that as well. The Kiwi Pit Lane boys, KPL drivers, are just there. They're hanging on. They are waiting for the 5 Lexuses ahead of them to make mistakes, so that way they can move the KPL Lexus up towards the front of the pack. But Isaac Fogarty still holds on to P6, coming under pressure from Sam Taylor, the veteran of Trackstar's touring cars and TS2 touring cars. But Fogarty's got a very nice run on the exit of turn 3 as they come up towards the exit of turn 5 into turn 4. And now turn 5, open up the entry so you can get yourself a slingshot down in towards the Cathedral. At turn 6, say a prayer if you can get down on the inside. Contact made, blue smoke between the 2 drivers there, so a bit of contact was made. Fogarty has had to pull back a little bit, and that's compromised him on the exit, which he has his teammate, and he's got the WTC boys. This is some brilliant racing here between the Lexus brand. So I'm not so sure the head bosses, they're going to be cheering for Lamb up in P1, but they don't want to see their cars ruined in this part of the race here, as we have Aiden Halton has now made the move on Chris Lashbrook back at turn 9, got the move done nice and stick, and now he can get the head down and put the pressure on the Lexus LCR driver in Cockholm Lamb in car number 82. It is a Lexus versus Nissan fight here for race 2 as we complete lap 5 to start lap 6. We're nearly at the halfway point, ladies and gentlemen. So we have our top 8 consisting of Lamb, the LRC Lexus, car 82 leading the CP Motorsports, the race victor of race 1, Aiden Halton down P2, Chris Lashbrook in car 11 in P3, Bailey Kennedy making his way from P6 to P4, and Fogarty, and this one we can't even call as well, ladies and gentlemen, because the battling is amazing. The 2 drivers going side by side at turns 3 as they get up towards turn 4. Can Purton throw the car on the inside, get it past Fogarty? He doesn't. He's going to have to concede there, but he shows the nose at turn 5. Kind of spooks him a little bit onto the grass there. But now that's kind of compromised his exit, because now he's got Sam Taylor right behind. He's looking to put the move on the PHE Sports driver, but it looks like now Fogarty can now breathe a sigh of relief as he's got 4 to 5 car lengths over Ben Purton down in P6, and now he's got Adam Joy right behind in the other MSR Lexus Lexus RCF GT500. He's got another one of those coming down the inside. Now it's going to be around the outside, apologies there, between those 2 drivers. He's still staying on P7. WTC, unfortunately, relegated down to P8 and P9, led by Sam Taylor and his teammates in Brad James, where we've seen now Brad James has made a mistake there. He's dropping down the order. Tristan Mason has promoted himself up into P9, and that's why we have Brad James making a huge mistake at turn 13, so another victim at the fast kink at turn 13. We have Brendan Scott from WRT Motorsport and Liam Hedges getting the move on Brad James. It's not the way you want to be finishing your debut race here in TS2 touring cars, especially for Brad James after a spectacular result in race 1, holding on to P7. That's an all-out Lexus affair for that P5 down to P10. battle, and it's great to see that brand duking it out here. But the civil war that we have here, Lexus versus Nissan, it is Lamb, car 82, versus Captain Muffin in 98, with now 6 laps to go, 5.5 laps to go as they get towards the end of Sector 2. It's going to be a very hard slog here. It's going to be pressure for Lamb to keep the Lexus ahead of the highly experienced and fast Aiden Halton, who has been a multiple champion in all the sim races and all the sim leagues that he's been a part of. Plus, he is the 2022 St. Croix 1500 endurance driver winner as well, with partnering alongside Jezza O'Shea, his teammate in 2022. Also, we have to remember he is a Daytona 500 winner in 2022 as well. So he's got a lot of accolades next to his name. He did actually drive the Lexus last year in the endurance campaign as well. The Kyoto 500, Bathurst 1000, and St. Croix 1500. So he has experience in both cars. So, but he does love the Nixon more than he loves the Lexus. But he gave it a good challenge, and he got WTC plenty podiums and plenty of placings. Podium placings in the stints that he did respectively for WTC, partnering alongside Andrew Scott in the 787. But he's now back in the Nissan, and he's here for the fight, and he's going to take it towards the Lexus driver in Lamb in P1. 5 laps to go until the end of this race. It is Lamb, it is Halton, it is Chris Lashbrook and Kennedy inside the top 4. The top 2 are breaking away. Chris is just holding on to P5. And Kennedy is not really making any inroads on his teammate. Maybe it's a team orders of hold station, because maybe the opportunity will arise if Lamb or Halton make contact with each other or slow each other up too much. They can invite the ITS-FR drivers into the party with just over 4 laps to go until the end of this race. Through the fasting kink they go at turn 13, down to turn 14. A little bit of a breathing space there for Lamb, and just runs it a little bit too wide, gets some snap oversteer on the exit, so it's going to slow him down a little bit. This can invite Halton with an opportunity for an inside move. Let's see if we can go on board with the 98 in the CP Motorsports as we look underneath the rear wing of the car 82 as they go down, barreling down into turn 1. Not able to get the move done just yet, but he's still putting the pressure on car 82. Some very nice racing there. And he's got a very good run on the exit of turn 1, and he's about to come up to turn 4 and try and see if he can show the nose there. It's not much room to go for an inside move. You can force the move there, but you are going to be compromising entry and exit speed. And I think it's a very wise move there for Halton not to make those moves, because then it's going to open up the opportunity for the ITS-FR drivers, especially with Lashbrook right behind. A very fast Lashbrook so far, but Kennedy is the first man into the 1 minute 32.9, so that's the fastest lap of the race, and that is some stonking pace. That is a clutch lap there by Bailey Kennedy in car 14, but the 98 is the man that's on the charge as they come up towards turn 9. It is a headwind now going into turn 9, so I did tell you, viewers, to keep an eye on that wind gauge, but Aiden Halton has taken full advantage of that, has now gone back into the lead on lap 9 of 12. Lamb demotes himself down to P2, and he's now got Chris Lashbrook right behind in the clutches of the Lexus. We saw an amazing last lap battle between Lamb and Lashbrook at the Nürburgring 125. So hopefully they might be able to recreate something, an exceptional battle that we saw on the last lap at the Nürburgring. Potentially with only 3 laps to go until the end of this race, we might be able to see an incredible battle between those two drivers. We'll find out in due time. As we go down the order, Bailey Kennedy P4, Isaac Fogarty has now been joined by his teammate in 5th and 6th place. So Adam Joy up into P6. Ben Purton is now the man that's holding off the WTC charge of Aussie Taylor. Ben Purton is hugging the inside line. He doesn't want Aussie Taylor to sniff that inside line whatsoever, but he wants to make it, he wants to try and force it. Can't do it. He's going to have to go around the outside. Still can't make the move just yet. Ben Purton on the controller, still ahead of Aussie Taylor, which I also believe is also on the controller as well. So the two controller drivers in Purton and Aussie Taylor still duking it out for P7. Tristan Mason having a much better run this time out, and with his teammate in Lumen Van Vuren inside the top 10. Some great points there for KPL. They definitely want to be making their way up towards the front of the grid, with the main series team in Kiwi Pit Lane leading the team's championship as well in the main series, with a spectacular victory that had Liam Tame take victory at the Nürburgring 250 in round 1, and some great results there as well at Monza last time out with Justin Ladaway and Lewis Atkinson replacing Liam Tame in round 2 at Monza. So Kiwi Pit Lane has got themselves a strong lineup in the main series, and they've got some very consistent drivers in TS2 with Tristan and Lumen hanging about, looming around, no pun intended there, between the two. They're looming around and they're trying to find that opportunity. It could be that for Purton, who's got some really bad oversteer on the exit of turn 14. Aussie Taylor's now going to take full advantage of this. He's going to hold it around the outside. It's going to be the outside line that goes into turn 1, but can he outbrake him? Can he outbrake the PAG Sports driver? It is a tailwind going into turn 1, so the braking performance, you're going to have to pull the car up a little bit earlier and slam those brakes. But still holds on, does Ben Purton. There's some great driving here from the Lexus duo between Purton and Aussie Taylor. Van Vuren is now promoted himself up to P9. I think we saw Tristan Mason make a mistake there at the exit of turn 1, so that's why he's not in the shop there. So Tristan Mason, unfortunately, drops outside into 10th place after a mistake at turn 1. We'll find out where that happened. We'll find out where exactly that happened. But I believe it was back at turn 1 that Tristan may have outbraked himself and dropped himself down to P10, unfortunately. But Ben Purton, Aussie Taylor, still holding on to 7th, having a nice battle for 7th place, and Lumen Van Vuren right behind in P9. So there, Tristan Mason, as confirmed on the race screen, is holding on to P10. But as the drivers are about to cross the start-finish line very shortly, we will have one more lap to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Aidan Halton leads Cockholt Lamb and Chris Lashbrook in 3rd place, with Bailey Kennedy in P4. Isaac Fogarty inside the top 5. He can hold P5. That'll also grant him another main series eligibility in 2024, whilst we saw their main series eligibility last time out for his teammates in Adam Joy and also Bailey Kennedy. We're going to potentially be seeing a new driver etch his name in the eligibility list. That's always a bit of a tongue twister for me, I just apologise there. But as we get through there, on the last lap there, Ben Purton still leads Aussie Taylor. He's got a good gap though. So we will keep an eye on that battle pack very shortly as we work our way towards the front of the field. The two MSR boys still holding station as they get towards the final laps of the race there. Captain Muffin and Aidan Halton hasn't really pulled away there, but I think he is backpedaling a little bit. 1 minute 34 flat on the last lap there, so he's not pushing it. He's just taking it calm, he's taking it easy. He's not getting pressure from the drivers behind there because he knows this whole section now is all single file unless you see a driver throwing the nose down the inside. But I think one driver that might have the best opportunity to take away a position could be Chris Lashbrook right behind there. So watch for the ITSFR driver down the back to show the nose at 14. No, he's too far back, unfortunately. So that looks like it's going to be our positioning, ladies and gentlemen. And to conclude round 2 for the TS2 Touring Cars Championship for the last time here at the debuting Sardegna Road Track A, it's going to be a clean sweep for Aidan Halton and Car 98 for CP Motorsports with a flash of the headlights, taking the checkered flag and the victory and the round victory here at Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars. Lamb getting himself one up on his rival in Chris Lashbrook, taking P2 away from Chris Lashbrook. So a very heartbreak race there for Lamb, unfortunately, with 3 laps to go until the end of when the race concluded. He was leading this race, so he led the majority of it after what was a brilliant descent down at turn 1 from P3 to P1. It was a nice move there by Lamb to jump 2 positions, but unfortunately when the crucial lap counted at lap 12 of 12, he wasn't there to greet the checkered flag first, and that goes to Aidan Halton. We have Bailey Kennedy rounding up in 4th. Isaac Fogarty has now got his main series drive, potential drive in 2024 onwards. So congratulations to him from getting that main series call up But there's the results screen, ladies and gentlemen. It has been calculated by the race directors and officialized. It is Aidan Halton ahead of Cochon Lamb and Chris Lashbrook. So the top three still keeping their positions, but just a bit of a change in order between second and third place. And then we have Bailey Kennedy in fourth, Isaac Fogarty, Adam Joy for the MSR duo, rounding up in fifth and sixth place. And a brilliant performance there by Purton. 2 races in a row, getting some solid points for PH Esports, finishing P9 in race 1, now P7 in race 2. Bit of an unfortunate end there for Sam Taylor, apologies. Starting in P4, drops down to P8 for WTC Racing, but that was incredible racing there by all the drivers as well. So it was great to see, and it was so close between the WTC, MSR, and Kiwi pit lane as well, with Van Vuren and Tristan Mason rounding up the top 10. Then we have Brad James, who got caught up in all of that, and unfortunately a mistake at turn 13 demoted him outside the top 10. Then we have David Scott, Brendan Scott, Gordon Scott, the trio of family members, one driving for WTC Racing, while the other 2 driving for WRT Motorsports, rounds up in 12th, 13th, 14th. Liam Hedges and Craig Harcourt, after unfortunately DNFing from this race, down in 16th place with some mechanical failures on his 269 MC Motorsports Nissan. Pulled it into the pit lane and had to retire the car. So very unfortunate there for Craig Harcourt. Only 50 points next to his name, with the fastest lap going to Bailey Kennedy with a 1 minute 32.940. Stonking lap there, clutch lap there by the ITSFR racing driver. So do let me know in the chat below who you think your driver of the day is as we go towards the round 2 points at the end of Sardegna A. And we do know how it works. Aidan Halton takes 2 victories and he gets the maximum points, 300 points next to his name. Cockhock Lamb and Chris Lashbrook equal P2, but with Lamb's pole position puts him into that second position, with Chris Lashbrook rounding up in third place. Bailey Kennedy rounds up in fourth place, just 3 points ahead of Adam Joy, and Sam Taylor 1 point behind Adam Joy in P6. Isaac Fogarty, Ben Purton, Brad James, after what he can count as a fantastic debut in Trackstar's TS2 touring cars in 2024, finishes in P9, and Lumen Van Vuren in 10th place. So if you want to keep an eye out on the Trackstars Points Championship as well, the Drivers' Championship, Aidan Halton's got himself the perfect start that he needs. 3 races, 3 victories next to his name. The big race at the Nürburgring, 125, and then the 2 races here at Sardinia gets him the maximum points, 600 out of 600. Next to his name, Chris Lashbrook in P2, only 20 points ahead of Lamb in P3. So watch out for those top 3 to really battle it out in this championship. If we keep seeing the likes of Halton racing in TS2, as well as the consistency of Lashbrook and Lamb, my goodness, we're in for a treat here in TS2. It's probably one of the most competitive fields we have seen in Trackstars Racing Series, and if we can keep these drivers on the field here, we're going to have some great racing in 2024, celebrating its 10th anniversary here at Trackstars Racing Series. You can see the points difference between 1st to 10th, but you can see those little fine margins there. We're only 2 rounds deep and three races into this championship, but watch for that championship to swing full motion at the end of the 2024 campaign, ending at Dragon Trail Seaside. So do let me know what you think about the driver of the day as well. So I will say on my end, my driver of the day has definitely got to be for Lamb there, sending the car up from P3 to P1 at the beginning of race 2, holding on for 8 laps, but unfortunately on the 9th lap lost that position, lost that lead to Aidan Halton, and unfortunately could not get the job done for the Lexus team, for the Lexus brand. But he is doing himself a fantastic job to get that car up towards the front there and really showing the might of the Lexus RCF. But it is the power of the Nissan and the all-round consistency of the Nissan that is getting the victories. 3 races, 3 victories. And it also demonstrates in the team's championship as well. It's FR Racing. We want to remind our viewers as well, TS2 Touring Cars now has an official TS2 Teams Championship as well. It was introduced in Formula 2 in the off season of the untelevised season of Formula 2 racing. It was introduced there. That went to PH Esports, Now we have one for the team's championship and it is being led by It's FR in the Nissan. 992 points over Mash Buds Racing and the Lexus, the first of the Lexus team in P2. WTC Racing rounds up in third place. It's tight at the top in both championships, in both drivers and teams, so watch for that to fluctuate until we get to the end of the racing here. But that's going to do it here, ladies and gentlemen. There's our results there. You saw the Drivers' Championship, you saw the Teams' Championship, you saw the race results. But if you want to get yourself involved, head over to Trackstars Racing Series Discord channel now, where we might be able to find you for the next round here at Trackstars TS2, where we're going to be bringing you round 3 at the Daytona Road Course on September 1st, 2024. We saw on the pre-season non-championship round, we saw the Daytona Tri-Oval be used. We had 16 fantastic drivers duking it out for 500 miles around the Daytona Tri-Oval, which was won by Ryan Palmer in the off-season. But we went Tri-Oval racing then. Now we go to the road course here at Daytona. So it's going to be great to see the cars back at Daytona for the second time in 2024. We take the road course version, so watch out for drivers to be making all the moves in the infield and watch for that crucial bump drafting in qualifying as well as in the race. You might see some teamwork or you might see some dreams shatter at the end of those two races. But September 1st is when we'll see the next time. It will be the next time we see the TS2 touring cars. Stay tuned here at the Trackstars Racing Series YouTube channel. We're going to be bringing you all of the actions of the TS3 Touring Cars Championship that ran here at Sardegna as well. The main series of Monza and Sardegna as well. So if you still want to keep your eyes and still keep yourself peeled out for those races, subscribe. Hit the bell notification, give the stream a likes and a thumb up. And until then, until the next time we see you on the broadcast, thank you so much for tuning in, our wonderful viewers here at Trackstars Racing Series. On behalf of myself, Nicholas Paltasso, and the admin team at Trackstars Racing Series, we thank you so much for your time and tuning in to this free broadcast on the Trackstars Racing Series YouTube channel. We'll see TS2 touring cars next time at Daytona Road Course in September 1st. But we'll see you guys on our stream very soon for the next round.